Hey there. So you're looking to shake things up in your career, maybe ditch that whole climb the ladder idea and try something new.
Okay.
Well, we're diving deep into Startup of You by Reid Hoffman and Ben Casnocha
Oh,
to see if we can find some inspiration for you.
sounds good.
They argue that in today's world, thinking like a startup can really give you a boost.
Hmm.
Are you ready to think of your career as the ultimate startup?
What's interesting is how the book tackles the myth of the career escalator.
Uh-huh.
That old idea of starting at the bottom and slowly working up
Right.
just doesn't really apply anymore, does it?
Yeah, it feels like that escalator is getting pretty shaky these days. Hoffman and Casnocha actually suggest thinking of yourself as being in permanent beta.
Like software that's always updating and improving.
Mm-hmm.
What I find powerful is that it encourages us to approach our careers with a mindset of continuous learning and growth,
Okay.
never assuming we've arrived.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
But how do we start thinking about ourselves and our careers like a startup? The book talks about competitive advantage, right?
They break it down into 3 parts:
Okay.
assets, aspirations, and market realities.
Okay.
Your assets are what you bring to the table, your skills, experience, even your personality.
Got it.
Aspirations are what you're passionate about, where you want to go,
Okay.
and market realities. Well, that's what's actually in demand out there in the job market.
So it's not enough to just be good at something.
Right.
You also need to figure out if anyone actually needs that skill right now.
Think of someone like Sheryl Sandberg.
Okay.
Early in her career, she had a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Stick with a comfortable but potentially unfulfilling path at the World Bank,
Mm-hmm.
or take a risk and join a brand new company called Google.
And look how that turned out. She clearly knew her strengths,
Right.
but she also understood the emerging market for tech talent
Yeah,
and wasn't afraid to jump in.
precisely. So let's say you figured out your competitive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You've got that self-assessment down. Then the book suggests something called ABZ planning.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that?
Honestly, it sounds a bit like alphabet soup to me.
Well, it's actually a pretty clever way to think about your career path.
Okay.
Plan A is your current path, but it has to be flexible, open to change.
Right.
Then there's Plan B,
Okay.
your alternative if Plan A stalls or something better comes along.
So plan B isn't like admitting defeat.
Right,
It's more like having a backup plan ready in case things shift.
right. And a good Plan A should easily allow for Plan B pivots.
Yeah.
And finally, there's Plan Z, your safety net.
Got it.
This is what you can rely on if things really go south.
So plan Z is like your fallback,
Yeah,
your just-in-case scenario,
exactly.
which helps you feel more secure taking risks with plan A and B.
Right.
It makes sense. Having a safety net can give you the confidence to go after what you really want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, on top of all this planning startup of you, stresses the importance of what they call breakout opportunities.
Okay, so this sounds like more than just getting a promotion or a raise.
Right.
What exactly are these breakout opportunities?
Think of it like this.
Okay.
They're chances for rapid growth, but they're often hidden in challenges or situations
Mm-hmm.
that push you outside your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
For example, George Clooney.
Okay.
Before he was a household name, he was hustling for roles, taking anything he could get.
Wow.
But then he heard about a new medical show called ER
Okay.
and saw it as his breakout opportunity.
He wasn't content to just wait around for his big break.
Yep.
He went after it, even convincing the producers to give him an audition.
Right. And that's a great example of how seizing these opportunities often takes courage and persistence.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just fall into your lap.
Right.
You have to be willing to put yourself out there
Yeah.
and really fight for what you want, just like Airbnb.
Didn't they have to get super creative just to keep the company afloat in the beginning?
They did. They
Yeah.
were so committed to their vision,
Yeah.
but they were struggling financially. So they got resourceful and started selling cereal to raise funds
Wow.
until they reached profitability.
What?
It might sound crazy, but it shows how far you might need to go to make your vision a reality.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe they were selling cereal.
Well, they had to do what they had to do.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is.
It's inspiring to hear how these companies found their break. But it sounds like a lot of this comes down to connections to being in the right place at the right time. Startup at You also talks about networks, right?
Yes, but not just networking in that traditional transactional sense.
It's not just handing out business cards at every event.
Exactly. The book emphasizes building genuine relationships. It's about helping others, sharing your knowledge, being a valuable connection to people.
So it's more about giving than taking when it comes to networking.
You got it. And the book makes a really interesting distinction between two types of network connections: strong ties and weak ties.
I'm intrigued. What's the difference?
Well, your strong ties are your professional allies, those close, trusted advisors and collaborators.
Hmm.
These relationships take time and effort to nurture and are often built through shared experiences.
So these are the people in your corner, the ones you can really rely on.
Yep.
What about weak ties?
Weak ties are your broader network people you might have met briefly connected with on LinkedIn or know through a mutual friend.
Okay.
You might not talk to them often, but they can be surprisingly valuable.
Because they give you a different perspective, like someone outside your usual circle.
Exactly.
Mm.
Research shows that weak ties are often the source of new opportunities and information.
Mm.
They connect you to different industries and perspectives that your strong ties might not. Think about the PayPal mafia.
Oh, yeah, those former PayPal execs who went on to do huge things in Silicon Valley.
Yep.
Wasn't that all about their network?
He was a big part of it. They shared ideas, supported each other's ventures, and leveraged their collective knowledge to achieve amazing things.
Yeah.
This shows how powerful those strong ties can be.
Mm-hmm.
But don't underestimate the weak ties.
Okay, so we're building our network, staying open to those breakout opportunities, and being adaptable with our ABZ plans. But taking those risks, making big changes, that can be scary.
Absolutely. And Startup of You recognizes that we tend to overestimate risks and miss out on great opportunities because of our own negativity bias.
So we focus on what could go wrong instead of what could go right. It's almost like self-sabotage sometimes.
It can be. But the book offers some helpful advice.
Yeah.
First, ask yourself, can I live with the worst-case scenario?
If the answer is yes, then the risk might be worth taking. I like that. Simple, but effective.
Right. And they also recommend looking for opportunities that allow for small reversible bets.
Okay.
Instead of going all in on something uncertain, see if you can test the waters with a smaller commitment first.
So maybe taking a course in a new field, volunteering for a project, or reaching out to someone for an informational interview, those are all low-risk ways to explore new options.
Exactly. These small steps help you gather information, build skills, and test your assumptions without risking too much. And remember, even if a small bet doesn't work out the way you hoped, it's still a valuable learning experience.
It's all part of the process, right? Each experience, even the failures, can teach us something and help us make better decisions in the future. It's all about learning and growing.
Now let's talk about how to actually use your network effectively.
Okay.
A key point is that you shouldn't just reach out when you need something.
Right.
It's about building those relationships over time, offering help to others, and staying engaged even when you don't have a specific ask.
So it's about being a good work citizen, contributing to the community instead of just taking from it.
Yes. And when you do need help, be strategic.
Okay.
Let's say you're considering a career change into the tech industry.
Uh-huh.
How would you approach that using your network?
Well, first I'd probably try to find people in my network who are already working in tech. LinkedIn would be a good place to start, right?
Absolutely. And the book suggests focusing on connections within 2 degrees of separation,
Okay.
meaning people you're connected to through a mutual friend or colleague.
Mm-hmm.
They are more likely to be receptive to your request since there's a shared connection.
Makes sense. It's like a warm introduction. So then what, just send them a message asking for a job?
Not quite.
Yeah.
Instead of a generic message, ask for an informational interview.
Okay.
Explain that you're exploring opportunities in tech and would love to hear about their experience and insights.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you value their perspective and are genuinely interested.
That's a much better approach. I can see how that would be more effective than just sending a cold email asking for a job.
It's about building a relationship first. And here's another great tip from the book.
Okay.
Don't just rely on industry experts. Tap into your network for diverse opinions and advice.
You mean reaching out to people who know me well, even if they aren't tech experts?
Exactly. Friends, family members, mentors.
Okay.
They can offer a different perspective on an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
They might ask questions you hadn't considered or share insights based on your strengths and weaknesses.
They can provide a more holistic view, looking beyond just the job itself. I like that. What other ways can we leverage our network?
Don't forget about crowdsourcing. Maybe you post a question on LinkedIn asking for tips on transitioning into tech,
Okay.
or reach out to your network for company or role recommendations.
Mhm.
It's like having a personalized advisory board.
This whole approach to networking really changes things. It's not about using people. It's about connecting, sharing, learning from each other.
And recognizing that everyone in your network has something valuable to offer,
Yeah.
whether it's industry expertise, personal insights, or just a listening ear.
Yeah.
You never know where your next big break will come from.
It's about realizing that you don't have to go it alone. You
Yeah.
have a whole network of people who can support you, offer advice, and open doors to new opportunities.
And this brings us to another key element of the startup of you philosophy,
Okay.
taking ownership of your career.
So it's not just about finding a job, but crafting a career that's fulfilling and aligns with your values.
Exactly. Startup of You stresses the importance of setting your own goals, defining your own success, and taking proactive steps to achieve what you want. Be the CEO of your own career.
That sounds empowering, but also a bit daunting. Where do we even begin?
The book recommends starting with a self-assessment.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what are your strengths? What are your passions? What kind of work energizes you?
It's like taking inventory of your internal resources.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Once you understand yourself better, you can start exploring opportunities that align with your interests and goals.
It's like you're taking all that self-awareness and turning it outward to see where you fit in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're looking for those sweet spots where your passions and skills align with real opportunities out there in the market.
And that can change over time, right? What you were passionate about 5 years ago might not be what drives you today.
Absolutely. That's why this whole permanent beta idea is so important.
Right, you have to be willing to adapt, to evolve, to pivot, just like a startup would if they're not meeting their goals.
And sometimes those pivots, those changes, can lead to unexpected breakthroughs.
Like the story we heard about Flickr, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They started out as an online game.
A game? Seriously?
Yeah. But they noticed that people were using their platform to share photos more than to play the game.
Interesting. They saw that as a signal to shift their focus.
They pivoted and became the photo-sharing giant we know today.
Wow. So even a seemingly successful venture might need to change direction to truly find its place.
And that's where that startup of you mindset comes in, being able to recognize those signals and being willing to make bold moves.
It's about trusting your gut, taking calculated risks, and being adaptable to the ever-changing landscape.
Just like a startup would.
So we've talked about competitive advantage, about ABZ planning, and about those breakout opportunities, but is there anything else that startup of you emphasizes?
Well, they talk a lot about the importance of relationships, of building a strong network.
So not just networking for the sake of it, but actually building genuine connection.
Precisely. It's about creating mutually beneficial relationships where you're offering value to others and they're offering value to you.
It's about giving and receiving support, sharing knowledge, and expanding your circle of influence.
And it's not just about having a large network. It's about having a diverse network.
Meaning people from different backgrounds, different industries, different perspectives.
Exactly. It's about getting out of your echo chamber and exposing yourself to new ideas and ways of thinking.
So it's like having a team of advisors, a brain trust that you can tap into for guidance and inspiration.
You got it.
Yeah.
And that can be incredibly valuable as you navigate your career journey.
So we've got this framework for thinking about our careers like a startup, but how do we actually put it into practice? What are some actionable steps we can take?
Well, the book offers a lot of practical advice on everything from self-assessment to networking to risk-taking.
So it's not just theory, they give you concrete strategies to implement.
Exactly. For example, they recommend setting up informational interviews with people in your network.
So not necessarily asking for a job, but just picking their brain about their experience and insights.
Right. It's about gathering information and learning from those who are already doing what you aspire to do.
And building those relationships?
Precisely. Those informational interviews can often lead to unexpected opportunities.
It's all about connecting the dots, making those connections, and seeing where they lead.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Okay.
Startup of You emphasizes the power of leveraging your network, whether it's for advice introductions or even just moral support.
It's about remembering that you don't have to go it alone.
Exactly. You have a whole community of people who can help you succeed.
And that community can be both your professional network and your personal network.
Absolutely. Don't underestimate the power of friends, family, and mentors.
They can offer a different perspective, a more holistic view of your career and your life.
And they can provide that emotional support, which is so crucial when you're taking risks and facing challenges.
So it's about building a strong support system, both professionally and personally.
Exactly. And that support system will be there for you as you navigate the ups and downs of your career journey.
It's like having a team of cheerleaders rooting you on every step of the way.
And that can make all the difference when you're feeling unsure or facing setbacks.
So we've covered a lot of ground today talking about Startup of You and how to apply these principles to our own careers.
It's been a great conversation.
But I think the key takeaway is that we have more control over our careers than we might realize.
We have the power to shape our own destiny, to create a career that is both fulfilling and successful.
It's about taking ownership, embracing change, and always being open to new possibilities.
And remembering that it's a journey, not a destination.
It's about being in permanent beta, always learning, always growing, always evolving.
And who knows, maybe you'll even inspire the next PayPal Mafia.
Now, wouldn't that be something?
It would. So what are you waiting for? Get out
No.
there and start building your own startup of you.